made this lump, right? It looks like a lemon, kind of a bad lemon. And so after I put my 2 pinch spots together, remember this one was more of a taper shape. I kind of rolled it and I started to manipulate it, squeezing it, patting it. But it still doesn't look like a bird, right? It still just looks like a sweet potato or a bad lemon. So if I'm looking at my bird, okay, and I'm looking at its body, you have to make a decision about what position is your animal going to be in. Is it going to be standing? If you're doing a duck, maybe it's sitting and we won't see its leg. Maybe its head is tucked in. Or if you're doing a bird, maybe its wings are out. So based on what you want your bird to be doing, you're going to have to make that decision. But looking at my lump of clay, I could take it, I could turn it 2 ways. I could turn it so this taper comes up here and creates its neck, and then I can add the head up here. Or I can turn it this way, and I can kind of reshape this body for it to be its tail, and then I can add the head. For me, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that'll work best. Right now, my body is like really wide this way. Looking at my bird, I actually need to kind of mush it more to make that, because I'm going to add the wings here. So I want to actually reshape it a little bit. And you can see I'm starting to lose my seal of my pinch spots here because now I've manipulated it so much. So as I'm doing this, I got to kind of patch it up. So now I'm going to take my slip, I'm going to score this here, kind of scoring on the surface of that. And I'm just going to create a little kind of band-aid or patch. I'm going to take just like a little quarter of clay, score that, slip it onto here, and then I'll simply blend that in. And it's not going to look perfect, but I know I'm still going to be covering this with feathers and textures. Okay, so I'm going to reshape this. Can you see how the shape has changed a little bit, right? So now I'm going to kind of press this tail out. I'm going to squeeze this down, manipulate it a little bit more, because now this is going to become the tail. And looking at the body, I can see here it tapers down a little bit more. So I'm going to see if I can even kind of squeeze and push this part down even a little bit more, okay? So now that shape has been changed to be more like the body of my animal. And that's why we put the newspaper in there, because then we can really adjust it. Now it's not perfect, and it's not going to be, because I still need to add on to it. So I'm still planning to obviously add some clay for the feathers, carve some clay out, add some here. I still need to build out the legs. But now you can see it's closer to what it needs to be. The wings, I can roll out a slab like how we usually do using my rolling pins. But if you remember, that's going to give me a slab that is the same width as the rolling pin, which could be really good. Or it could be too thick. So then what you might decide to do is just manipulate it a little bit with just your hands. And that can give it a little more texture and just change the shape of it. Because I don't need it really to be super thick if this is what I'm going to be adding onto the animal. So I'm going to just patty cake this down and make it into more of a thin slab. And then I'm going to look at my picture or look at my sketch and think about if I want to start building, I'm going to build these feathers. These feathers are going to tuck underneath here. So I'm going to do these ones first, and then this row will kind of sit on top of those. So I'm going to do my tail feathers first. So I'm going to save this for here because this kind of looks like the top. So to make my tail feather, I'm just going to roll out another slab. I do want this one to be a little thicker because I need it to stand up. So I'm just going to kind of patty cake this down, wedge it up, and then roll it out. And I need it to be long, so I'm going to roll it and just rotate it, flip it, and roll it. Okay, so now I can kind of look at my shape here and think about what shape I want those feathers to be. So for the tail feather, I need it to kind of taper out. So this will be attached here. And I want to give it enough room. I want to attach it with enough space so that it will stay upright. And then as we're building, obviously gravity is going to tip this down. So we will use like another lump of clay to help hold that up. And then on top of that piece, you can see there's two feathers on the end of the tail. So what I'll do is I'll cut another piece. And then this one I am going to manipulate a little thinner to give it a little more texture. But I'm going to leave where I attach it a little thicker. So I'm going to eventually score and slip these onto here. So you can kind of see how they'll be layered. So I'm just going to start to kind of play. I'm not going to attach anything until I know I have all the pieces I need. I'll build another layer here, and you can see then I'll start to add the feathers onto here. So you can see how I'm going to start to layer and kind of build up. The most important thing is that you score and slip these together and you smooth them so you don't get any air trapped beneath these pieces. Okay?